Hi guys, I am so happy to be back. Welcome back to Joyful Living. It's Joy here, obviously, and we are in a new series. We are in a new theme for the month of March. So last month we talked all about faith and different aspects of your faith. I would suggest going back and watching it. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from really wonderful people. But today I want to talk about something different. I want to shift gears and I want to give us a new perspective and new things to focus on every month. So this month we are talking about fitness. That's right, getting fit, staying active, being healthy. And if you're not super into the gym, don't leave. Stick with me because it's not just necessarily about what you do in the gym and how active you are. But I want to dive into many aspects of fitness and how it's helped me and how it's shaped my life. So I have my notes here. So if you see me looking to the side, I'm sticking on my notes. So I want to talk about my personal fitness journey because I feel like it's always good to start. You know, whenever somebody talks about a new topic or whenever you start giving tips or tricks or, background, you're like, okay, well, what do you know about this topic? Let me tell you about it. I grew up in a household of 4 brothers. So it was 4 boys and me. I was in the middle. So started when I was like 5, I'm pretty sure. Started with soccer. And then it was gymnastics and karate. Then we moved to Texas. And then, middle school, it was basketball, volleyball, cross country, track, you name it. And then I did color guard in high school. I was always active, did color guard professionally. And then, I don't know if you can see in the background, but I went to school for dance, actually. And so I spent 3 years in getting my associates and 3 years getting my bachelor's for dance. And so it was something I was really passionate about. Now, why am I telling you this? Because it relates to my fitness journey. Growing up, I was always active. I was an active child. I just wanted to be involved. And we were an active household. But it wasn't really intentional. It was just kind of the spaces I was put in that kept me moving. And, dance especially. I have such a love for dance. And I was active all the way up until 2020. Graduated, March of 2020. It'll be 6 years now, in the COVID era. But once dance ended and once I graduated from school, I no longer had that intentional space where I could stay active and be healthy. So once I left that space and I didn't have intentional, consistent movement, I started to drift. And, I would try to stay active here and there. I would try to go to the gym every now and then, but it wasn't consistent, number one. And to be honest, I had never had a consistent workout routine involving the gym. I was like maybe a Stairmaster, maybe I'll walk here and there. I find some machines and I just pick them and it's like, this looks good, and I would leave it at that. And so it took me until May of 2024, and also before I get into the turning point, I was also one of those people that would try to eat healthy with meat and, rice and, vegetables, but it was frozen vegetables. And it was I was I'm never going to count any calories. I'm never going to do the macro stuff. That just sounds exhausting. That just sounds too much. I literally, and you could ask my roommate at the time, I declared I am never doing that. That is not going to be me. And so imagine my surprise when it hits May of 2024. I remember sitting on I was visiting my grandfather at the time up in Virginia. And I remember sitting on the bed at his place, so frustrated and fed up. Not because I felt like I was fat or I was weighed too much, but it wasn't about my weight. It was about how I felt. I felt out of shape. I felt unchallenged. I felt unhealthy. And I also missed movement. Dance was such a big part of my upbringing. It was something I have such a passion for. And so to not be able to do that anymore, it felt like I lost a part of myself. And so I was fed up. I was like, man, I'm so frustrated. Something needs to change. Something needs to change because I don't feel healthy. I don't feel excited for life. I'm, working all the time. I'm not active. I'm not consistent. I don't know how to go to the gym. And so finally, I remember I was scrolling Instagram and I saw one of my girlfriends who was becoming a really good friend of mine at the time, and she was posting with her personal trainer, and she looked like she was killing it. And I was like, you know what? I don't necessarily have the room for the personal trainer because at that point I was still, recovering my finances and learning how to budget properly and getting off my feet, getting really serious about my finances at that point. So I was like, I don't necessarily know what that would look like with my finances, but something has to change. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but I want in because I just can't with this anymore. I can't live the way I'm living. I can't keep going on the way I'm existing. I can't keep living in this space. And so I decided, I was like, at the very least, let me reach out to this trainer. So I reached out. We had a Zoom consultation, and I remember him talking about not even like how he was going to change my body or like how he was going to train me. Like what he was talking about, bringing out something within you and like building discipline and learning grit and like getting a challenge. And so that for me really touched me a lot. That's something I really wanted. I was really drawn in by that. I was like, wow, okay. So I was like, sign me up. Let's go. And so I think I started mid-June of 2024. And at first, it was about my body feeling healthy. And the more I went, the more I realized that my fitness journey was not just about my body. And it wasn't just about the nutrition and things that I put in my body. It was about my mind. It was about my discipline, my ability to get uncomfortable, my ability to push through difficult circumstance. And I am forever grateful for my trainer. Because if you saw me back then, and I'll drop some pictures here, it wasn't like I was just, like I love who I was, but I also look back and I go, wow, I can't even, in the span of I think 6 months, I lost 40 pounds, 7% body fat. I totally shaped the composition of my body, totally changed. But at some point, I can't remember when, it stopped being about my body and it started being about my mind. And this is where I want you people who are frustrated with your fitness journey to sit in for a second. It's not about your body. It's not about how you look, because we're all worthy just as we are. Okay, that's not the question. The question is, are you going to fight for your health? Are you going to fight for your discipline? Are you going to allow yourself to get uncomfortable? Because what I realized the more I went on this fitness journey was I liked it. I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed the learning. And he talked about the 4 pillars of fitness, and it's, the fitness itself, it's the recovery, it's the stress management, and sleep, actually. Well, and food is in there too, so I might have said that wrong, but sue me, whatever. He can comment on this if he wants. But it's not just your fitness. It's not just what I do in the gym. It's how it translates outside of the gym. And so it stopped being just a way to get skinny or lose weight or, get my movement back. It started being something that was an outlet for me, for my frustration, for my long day. And the gym I go to, it's a gym for trainers and their clients. So you get to know the people that you're around. And so it stopped becoming, oh, I'm just trying to get in shape. And it became, oh, I'm learning how to be uncomfortable. I'm learning how to grow and be challenged. I'm learning how to step outside of my comfort zone and train my mind. Because it's really your mind that you have to convince. It's not your body. Your body can be pushed beyond its limits. It can be pushed beyond what you think it's able to do. But your mind is the one that has to take charge. And so at some point, I remember telling someone about my journey. I was like, if nothing had changed in my body, but I had grown my mind, it would have been worth it. Because the way that I was able to shed so many things, there were so many times I was in the gym and I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to lift this weight. Like, my brain is like, there's no way, you can't do this. And my trainer's in my ear, pushing me through, like, yes, you can. And he's there to support, doesn't push you past pain, but pushes you to the very edge. And so, like, for example, I just went last week, and I do hammer curls, and it's just like, with like 15, 20-pound weights. And he gave me a 37.5-pound weight. And I ended up doing hammer curls with it. And I was like in complete shock. And he's like, yeah, what are you doing with these light weights? And I'm over here like, no way. And I went and I did it for a while. I'm like, oh, I can do almost double what I thought. Okay. But it's not necessarily about the weight or, the being skinny, but it's about what it does to your mind. And so your fitness journey is something that's important to take seriously because it's something that, number one, it affects your health. So it affects the longevity of your life. The healthier you are, the longer you live, the easier it is to walk, As I get older, I don't want to be one of those people that struggles to walk, that struggles to have hip movement, that doesn't have mobility. I've seen people that are older, like well into their 50s, 60s, 70s, that can move, that are active because they chose a daily discipline of staying that way. And so I want to do that. It's built my discipline, and it's built my love for movement, and I've gained so much knowledge. It's literally one of the best things that I could do. And then towards the beginning of 2025, I decided to run a High Rocks, which, if you don't know, it is 8 kilometers of running and 8 different strength exercises. Everything from like sled pull, sled push, skis, rows, all that stuff. And so I decided to run one with my brother. And so we ended up training. And it was really cool because after I got uncomfortable and I accepted the challenge and I worked with my trainer for a year, it empowered my brother. I invited him I had been trying to get him to come, but in the beginning of January last year, I invited him to a workout, with my trainer at the time. And he, was a bit unhealthy too, and he'll say the same. And he's grown so much. Maybe I'll put a picture up here of both of us. The before and after is startling, for sure. And that first day, it was a fitness assessment, and I remember we did the first round. There's 2 rounds. There's a lot of exercises in it, but it's body weight, and it's tough. And I remember he was like, I need to run to the bathroom. And he was like, yeah, I laid in the bathroom for like 5 minutes. I was like, and he didn't he didn't get sick or anything, but like it really pushed him. And I don't say that to make fun of my brother, because I love him, because I was in the same way. I was in the same place. But he ended up staying and sticking around and embarking on his own fitness journey and losing 40 pounds in 2 months instead of 6. And gaining his confidence again. I was just talking about this. He went from single and, out of shape to this year, he's in an amazing relationship. And he's fitter than he's ever been. And I've been able to grow relationships in my life in a totally different way because I was able and willing to get uncomfortable. And that it was like a domino effect. And so we ended up training for High Rocks together. We'd wake up every Monday and Thursday morning and run. Started with 3 miles, and then it was 4, and then it was 5. And we ran together, and we trained together, and we beat our goal. We did it in under an hour and a half. And by that, our goal was an hour and a half, and we got an hour and 29 minutes and 26 seconds. So yeah, we beat our goal. Barely, but we beat it. And after that, I was able to continue. So not like I have something big I'm training for now, but my brother and I still run together at least once a week on the trails. And that's my favorite form of cardio. It's like, do you like to run? I'm like, I only like to run outside on the trails talking to my brother. Just yapping the whole time, talking about life. And it's a blessing. I am beyond blessed. But, it's interesting. It's really easy. My trainer has always said, it's really easy to gain weight. It's really easy to lose weight. It's very hard to maintain weight. So after High Rocks training, the, vigorous, pointed, it was rough. It was hard because I didn't have anything else to go to. And so around Christmas time, I was smashing the cookies. Okay, I lost my big end goal, and the maintenance has been hard. Fitness is still growing me. I'm not perfect. I feel a lot healthier. I know a lot more, but I still have my down moments, and it's hard for me to stay away from a chocolate bar sometimes. I can't even lie to you. But fitness has been one of the biggest blessings of my life because it allowed me a new way to live. It's brought back my joy. I play basketball now regularly. I dance now regularly. I found dance classes. I get to dance with my friends. I've done dance showcases. And that's all because I've stayed in this fitness mindset. and then you get to transform and you get to support not only yourself and what you're doing and not only be proud of what you're doing, but you get to support and be proud of the other people that are in your life. And by taking those small steps of faith, by stepping out of that box, by getting uncomfortable, you're giving permission to anybody else that's tired of the way that it is. And from that, so my friend got me to train. I pulled in my brother, and then a friend of mine came to an open house, and then he joined. And then his roommate wanted to try, and so he joined. And then I had a friend of mine who ran a dance studio I used to teach at, and she wanted to get the personal training thing because everybody saw the effect it had on me. They saw how different it was, how different I was as a person from when I first started to the end. And so it went from me to my brother to one of my good friends and his roommate to my poor broken nail to one of my good friends that owns a dance studio to now, beginning of 2026, my mother has joined, and she has lost 5 pounds, probably more than, within the first month and a half, and she's loving the nutrition. And this isn't like I'm pulling people into like a, it's not like I'm holding them against their will or paying for them or telling them they should sign up. But when you start moving differently, people notice. People notice. And sometimes in the first beginning learning stages, it's enough for you to make that move. It's enough for you to want more for yourself and try harder. And so I want to encourage anybody that's on here today that it doesn't happen all at once. If you don't have a fitness journey or you don't have anything that you're going towards right now, that doesn't mean that can't change. I was stagnant for years. And so I want to talk about fitness this month, and I'm excited about the upcoming topics I have for you specifically, because fitness is not just about your macros. It's not just about, getting fit or getting skinny. It's about a challenge. It's about learning something new. It's about growing bolder in your goals. And it's about building discipline up here. It's much more about discipline in your mind than it is to anything to do with your body. And it has been a blessing for me, and I will continue my fitness journey until the day that I die. And if you're like me, you get bored when you're not challenged. I get so bored. I need a good challenge. I need a good push. And in this life, there's pain and there's suffering sometimes. And you know what? You can choose. You can choose your hard. Being in shape is hard. Eating right is hard. Being out of shape is a different kind of hard. Eating whatever you want is a different kind of hard. Right? So you have to choose. What do you want? Do you want health and challenge and fitness and growth and new opportunities and new experiences and community? Because you can find community in fitness. I have done it. Or do you want to stay where you are? The comfort zone is great, but nothing grows there. Nothing changes there. You just stay as you are. And so I ask you today to evaluate your fitness journey and to figure out what you want to do. And it doesn't have to start big. I will tell you, I started with once a week with a trainer. And then it built. Went from once a week to a trainer. Once I felt comfortable, went to twice. And then he was like, hey, now that we're doing strength, you should start doing cardio too. And you should do this certain amount of days. So then I used to go in the mornings. By the way, I was never a morning person. I don't like waking up early. Fun fact. And if you know my Instagram at all, you know I wake up early every day. I used to be the girl waking up at 9 and 10 a.m. before I had a 9 to 5. And then it got earlier because now I have a real job. We've grown up for the last couple years. And then I wanted to take my time back and not just wake up and go straight into work. So what I did was I started waking up early during the week. And then 3 days a week. And then it was 4 days a week. And then it was 5 days a week. And it was 6:30, and then it was 6 o'clock, and then it was 5:45, and then it was 5:30. All these things shifted over time. And so I'm not asking you to go drop everything and jump into the gym immediately and work out 10 days a week, which isn't possible, obviously. I'm asking you to be open to a challenge. I'm asking you to be open to doing something different and to get a little uncomfortable, whether it's a 10-minute walk outside. I'm going to challenge you. Find 10 minutes in the next week. Just take a walk outside. A 10-minute walk outside. Not a run. I don't need you to reinvent the wheel. But I just want you to start being open to building different habits. Being open to building new ways of living. So that is what I have for you this week. I hope you've enjoyed my fitness journey story. There's definitely more to share. I will see you next week. Next week, we are talking about investments. And I'm not just talking about money, but investing in your fitness journey with your time, energy, and your effort. So I love that we get to live joyfully, and I'm even more excited that we get to do it together. I'll see you guys next week.